Just I put my password in wrong. Evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay. We're back again for another show. It's been a little bit of a slow wrestling week. So yeah, we'll do as best as we can. But first of all, Jenna, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
My voice is dying, but we're living.
You'll have an extended segment at the end.
Hooray!
If
my voice makes it.
So, I don't really know where to start. I am going to start with I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to start this way. Let me get to the part of my notes that says this. So we had a couple of AEW things that's happening this week. We had obviously Dynamite, and then on Saturday we had a Battle of the Belts that really kind of wasn't a Battle of the Belts. It was only one title again. So we shall start with Dynamite. So out comes Mr. Adam Cole. Obviously the crowd are happy to see him. They're all going, woo! And he starts off basically saying that MJF is the worst human being he's ever met. He calls him fake, untrustworthy, scared, immature, etc., etc., etc. He calls MJF to come out. His music hits, but in normal fashion, didn't actually come out. He came up on the screen in his vineyard or whatever it is, sat there drinking whatever he was drinking, and he said that Adam Cole basically tricked him into letting his guard down, and because of him, he'll never trust anyone again. Everything is your fault. And then he went on to go and say that he will never get him on the ring. He will never get him in the ring one-on-one. And this will be your void, like his void is of not trusting anyone again. So, yeah, I thought as it went, both great on the mic, really good promo. Excited to see where that goes. Hopefully it's one that they can keep going for a little bit, because in AEW we haven't really got a vast amount of long-standing storylines, really. So it would be good if we could see that happen with this one. There was then a little bit of announcement between Chris Jericho and Mark Briscoe that next week there would be a match called a Ladder War, which I don't really know why it's called a Ladder War. Let's have a look. Match. I don't know if it was just not one I've never heard of before. Wrestling. So it's just come up with a ladder match. So maybe he just meant to say ladder match and he said instead ladder war. So I guess we'll find that one out. Oh, no, here we go. Mark Briscoe will rematch Chris Jericho on next week's Dynamite in a ladder war match. Does it tell you what it is? It's just basically a ladder match. It says Jericho hasn't been in a ladder match since he was in WWE 2016 Money in the Bank. I think they've just tried to change it a little bit so it sounds a little bit more exciting. But yeah, we shall find out that. I'm not... Thanks for that, Lee. Vast amount of knowledge there. It's a war with ladders. Right, okay. I've got it now. I didn't need to look at all. So that's coming up. I don't know. I can't say I'm overly excited about it, but I suppose we'll find out. There was then a tag team match between FTR, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. FTR won, and then out come a tag team called the Outrunners, who were apparently friends with FTR. But without being horrible, they did look past the best. Let's have a look. So the Outrunners are a tag team made up of Truth, Magnum, and Turbo Floyd. They have spent a lot of their time in Ohio Valley Wrestling. Yeah, so I don't know if that's someone that's going to be around or just a one-off appearance. We'll find that one out, I suppose. Yeah, all good. Hope you are as well. We then had my favourite in a championship match. It's no surprise that she went on to retain that title. I had a thought while I was watching it. Well, I didn't watch it. I kind of skipped it. But I did have a thought, and I wondered if they were just going to keep her the champion until she retires and nobody else is going to get a touch of the belt, or what's going to happen, because there's been seriously no one that's been even close to taking it off her. So I do actually wonder if they're just going to keep that title on her till the end of time. They may as well just call it by a name at this point. So we then had a pointless trios match, really, between Kyle O'Reilly. Oh, it's not even a trios match. It's Kyle O'Reilly. Oh, no, it is Kyle O'Reilly, Orange, and Rocky Romero versus the Elite. There was a DQ by Blackpool Combat Club, and they were on the show quite a few times this week. Just saying, basically, we're taking over and stuff. The same kind of stuff that you hear from factions. It's nothing new. Leo Rush had a match between Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin wins. Both himself and who he's with. Shelton Benjamin and what's his name? Oh, damn it. Lee? Shelton Benjamin and the person that's with him.
MVP.
That's the one. They both came on and said, "This is your future," and said, "I want to wrestle you," basically, which is, I think, what they're supposed to do. And Swerve says, "Any place, any time." Then we got to the bit that I thought was going to be a lot more exciting than it was. Don Callis comes out, says that now he's got Lance Archer and Brian Cage together. He wants to put them into a tag team to get the tag titles. Then Carl Fletcher and Takeshita get called out. Takeshita said he will defend his titles in all corners of the globes in very broken English, but we did manage to get what he said. Kyle then comes to the mic and says why. Says, "You all ask as to why what I did to Will Ospreay," and he says, "Too bad." And then Don Callis says, "Because you were booing him, you didn't get to know the answer." And then the main event was Jay White and Christine Cage. Christine Cage ended up winning that because Hangman came in when the rest back was turned and hits Jay White. So that was that one. Then we had the very exciting Battle of the Belts. We had every single title on AEW available in this Battle of the Belts, you would think, but there was just one. So the only one that was up for grabs was the Continental Championship, which Okada retained against Kyle O'Reilly. There was then a match that I thought was for the title, but it wasn't, between Mariah May and Anna Jay. So when Anna Jay actually won the match, I was like, oh my God, we've got a new title holder. But that wasn't the case at all. It was just a match that if she wins, she gets a shot. So she's got a shot 2 weeks' time on Collision. Putting it on Collision leads me to believe that there won't be a title change, because they wouldn't have a title change on Collision as big as that one, like their women's title. So yeah, that was the world of AEW this week. So much went on. I'm next going to go to SmackDown, I think, because that's what's underneath on my notes. So this was all based around Bloodline, Jay, Jimmy, and Roman, basically for the whole entire time, apart from a few matches in the middle. So the Solo and his band of men come out at the start of the show. They talk a load of rubbish about Jimmy, Jay, Roman, etc., etc. They then go on to say that the beatdowns will keep happening unless Roman Reigns comes down to the ring before the end of the night and acknowledges me. Instead, Jey Uso comes down to the ring and basically said, you're dividing the family. We're all supposed to be one, etc., etc. Solo says, you done wasting my time. I'm trying to reunite the family. Stop calling me little brother. I am your tribal chief. Don't want you to follow in Jimmy's footsteps. Are you in or out? And basically said to Jacob Fatu, he says, why are you staring at me like that? If you keep staring at me like that, I'm going to knock you out. And next time I see you, it's going to be different. Yeet. Oh, I don't really know what that means. Neither did anybody else by the sounds of it. There was then one of two number one contenders triple threat qualifying matches for the tag titles. This one was DIY, Street Profits, and Pretty Deadly, which DIY won. The other one was between A-Town Down Under, Los Garza, and then obviously the debut of Motor City Machine Guns, which they won. They probably single-handedly made SmackDown okay this week, even though everybody knew it was like the worst kept secret. So in the middle of all that, Jimmy and Roman come in and walk past Jay. Jay basically goes to walk away. Roman says, I'm proud of you, we all are. And then Jay, going back, said, no yeet. I imagine if somebody turned on at that moment when you hear someone say no yeet, it would have been turned off and never watched again. But obviously we know what it is, but for somebody else, they would think, what on earth? So Piper Niven had a match against Lash Legend. Lash Legend won that. Jimmy, there was loads of VTs and stuff. It was all a little bit of a mess. Jimmy says, I still think you need to speak to Jay. And then he says he made it clear he doesn't want to. It's time to do things my way. I will fix it, which is what Roman said. I'm going to acknowledge someone. So everybody was like, oh my God, no. Then the one of two really bad promos this week. Cody comes out with the bejazzled title, as Lee likes to call it, is in the ring. He talks about the title. There's nothing really to talk about. It's just been made up. He mentions all the champions of old, of the champions versus champions match, if they'd have happened, which I don't know. It made me laugh because I'm just thinking if they could see what was happening, if only they could, see what was happening with this title. he invites Gunther next Friday to stand in a ring with him, which I'm beyond excited for. I could just, till the end of time, just sit and watch and listen to Gunther speak on the mic. And then we had in the middle of that, Kevin Owens cutting a little promo and saying that he doesn't know when he'll be back. And he said basically all sorts of stuff. Randy Orton then goes to Nick Aldis and said, I need to get my hands on Kevin Owens. Nick Aldis says he can't do that, not because he doesn't want to, because it's coming from above. Hey, Devon, hope you can join us in a moment. Then we had Bayley and Naomi against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Nia and Candice won. And then we got to the main event that wasn't a main event. It was just a talking segment. So Roman comes out and says that it's maybe for the last time that you acknowledge me. Solo interrupts him, but comes out on his own and said, we're divided and broken, not better off. This is what Roman said to Solo. He said, we're divided and broken, not better off. I told my father I could fix this. Tell me what I can do to fix this. Solo then responds, there's an easy way to fix it. All you have to do is acknowledge me. He says in like a tone like he doesn't really want to. He says, I acknowledge you. Does that make you feel better? Solo then says, it's not good enough. I need you to acknowledge me as your tribal chief or else. Roman then gets a little bit mad and says, or else what? Then before anything else can happen, the bloodline come out. Roman kind of gets on top of them for a little while. But then the rest of... So I missed out a part. So when the bloodline come out, they come in dragging Jimmy down the ramp. Like I say, they come in one by one and Roman takes them out. You think Roman might take them on fully. But then, of course, as is always, because of the numbers in the bloodline, they take over. It feels like I've said that quite a few times this year at the end of both SmackDown and Raw. So, that's that one. So, Lee said, hi, Devon. So, what are we on to next? We are on to Raw. Oh, I did have, over the last couple of weeks, we've been speaking about how long each show is going to be when they move over to Netflix. Apparently, both shows are 3 hours long. So that's just wonderful. Because that means I've got to watch 6 hours without watching AEW and everything else as well. So that's going to be fun. That's all good, Devon. So Raw was unexciting. So Rhea Ripley starts the show and says, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, I'm not done with you until I get my title back. Get down here to my ring. Tiffany comes out instead and says, I have a message to you from Nia Jax. Stay out of her business, else you're going to have a problem. Liv and Raquel come down and just beat down everyone, which is slightly exactly the same opener that we've had for a while, unless somebody different comes out. There was then a title match between Jade and Bianca Belair against Damage Control. Again, it feels like I've seen that match too many times I can remember over the last sort of couple of months. It's a little bit concerning because there is so many tag teams in WWE. You shouldn't, the two same tag teams shouldn't be fighting each other again and again and again and again. But that's where we found ourselves. So there was then a match between Alpha Academy and the War Raiders for the tag team competition that I spoke about. The War Raiders won that one. Cody comes out to thank the fans and is interrupted by Gunther, my favourite person. He says there is not much negative, and the business success right now is down to you. Cody says that you break. I have respect for you too, but you've never been one-on-one with me. And then they shake hands. It just seems completely pointless, and I couldn't be less excited for that main event, both the men's and the women's. And it's a shame because it's going to be one of those ones that we're going to be able to see and not have to wait a stupid amount of time for to wake up and whatever. So yeah, I just hope they put some good matches around those, because at the moment I don't think I will even watch it while it's live. If it's just those two matches and a couple of the pointless ones, I literally don't think I will watch it. So we had then a Kofi versus Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker obviously won that. Jay comes out at the end to spear him. So that'll be another one we'll get at Crown Jewel, I'd imagine. The Jay and Braun again. There was then a weird segment because it's coming very close to the end of the show. So I thought, well, there's only really time for whatever they're going to put as the main event. But apparently not. So there was then a match between R-Truth and Miz, and it just felt terribly rushed. I thought they could have had something good there. But yeah, they've just killed it. So they both go to shake hands, but then Miz is distracted as the final testament comes out. R-Truth then just rolls in to pick up the win. It was literally like a couple of minutes. Final testament then throw R-Truth back in the ring for Miz to hit a skull crushing finale, and that was it. So I don't know. The storytelling's really, really bad at the minute. It's just shocking. So they then announced that the Jey Uso and Braun Breaker rematch won't be at Crown Jewel. It'll actually be next Monday. So, yep, that means that my guess is that will stay with Jey. It's not going to go back. And then we had the main event, which was ever so exciting. It was Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley versus Liv and Raquel Rodriguez. This match was ended, though, by DQ by Nia Jax. Rhea goes to pick up Nia, but Liv comes in and kind of blindsides her and goes to town. And then Nia Jax picks up Liv and throws her about a little bit. And then Tiff goes to cash in on Liv, but then Dom pulls her out the ring. So, yeah, that was such an exciting week of Raw and SmackDown. So, on better news, NXT was good, though. So, let me bring up that little banner. So, my favourite time of the year for NXT is around this time, because the wheel comes out to spin for match stipulations and stuff. It was also the first show on the new network. I've changed all the branding to like really bland and black, and yeah, I don't think it looks great, but hey ho. So the wheel's there, which I was all excited for, so I was already all in. Tony D'Angelo starts in the ring. Obviously, he just won the title from Obafemi last week. He said he knows it's not over. He raises a glass to Oba, but then, of course, he comes out. He said that I'll win Havoc. I will gain the title back, and I'll become the ruler of NXT again. And your family will not be by your side to help you. So that was interesting. That kind of leads into the stipulation, maybe that Tony D'Angelo and all of his merry men won't be out there, and it will just be Tony and Obafemi. He then goes over to the wheel to spin it, and he ends up getting tables, ladders, and scares matches. So we won't see anything different, but it will just be Halloween-y. Then we had Stephanie Vaquer versus Ren Sinclair. I think they've just signed. Hang on. Yeah, I think they have just signed her. Because she did used to be on AEW, didn't she?
No, she got signed in July.
Did she?
Ages ago. She just hasn't been used. But she was used on the house shows in Mexico.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
They just didn't use her. Same with Julia.
Oh, so Julia's been with NXT for that long as well?
Well, she's been signed, but she's still been appearing in Japan. Because unlike Stephanie, she'll actually do her dates, whereas Stephanie wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Julia actually was doing shows, whereas Stephanie just kind of ditched them and was like, bye-bye.
Oh. So she ended up wrestling Ren Sinclair. Obviously, she won. And then there was a little bit of shenanigans where there was some beatdowns and stuff. So then it ended up being Julia and Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade that was announced for Halloween Havoc. So that'll be a really good one. That's a really exciting one. Some would call it a dream match with all that talent in the same ring.
My Wi-Fi just dipped.
All right.
It just cut off.
Yeah, so I think that one's quite exciting because you've got so much talent in one ring at the same time. So that will be good. We then had a gentleman's rule match between Lexis King and Aura Mensa. I am going to get the rules up for you because there was quite a few. So this is actually a new match type. It's a little bit bizarre, but we'll roll with it. So it's a classic match, but these following things had to happen. So you can't strike an opponent when they have all 4 points of contact on the ground. You can't throw your opponent over the top of 3, not to 5 to break within the ropes, and there was absolutely no fighting on the floor. So basically, we have another run-in.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I'm seeing a black screen with a logo.
Oh, can you see me?
It's your Wi-Fi that's not working.
The screen of death.
I'm gonna say, do I gotta reload or anything? I thought I was in.
It's very Halloween-y.
Oh yeah, it's
spooky.
It's the season, the spooky season.
How is it? This is just wonderful.
Yeah, you guys been having a good Halloween. Oh, you can see me.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Let's go.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
I'm all right. You've joined us at a really exciting week of wrestling.
Yeah, I heard. I was watching it earlier, and I was like, "You guys sound so excited for SmackDown and Raw, respectively."
I just don't watch it, so I have nothing to say anyway. I just don't watch it.
3 hours for each. I'm gonna have to watch 6 hours of Raw and SmackDown.
I mean, you get to watch 6 hours of Raw and SmackDown. That's what you meant to say.
My question is though, how is that time frame going to bring new eyes onto WWE? Because they ain't going to want to watch for 3 hours each.
I mean, let's say you're just some kid and you're just like, oh man, first ever SmackDown show. Yeah, I better watch 3 hours of it.
They don't have enough to fill an hour and a half's worth of show. They have to put in loads of random pointless things. So I don't know how they're going to fill 3 hours.
I mean, they're trying.
That's drastically better.
They got their skits, their side moments, commercial breaks.
They're not going to have that on They're not going to have that on Netflix. They haven't got the beauty of that, and they've got on TV programming.
I don't know if people don't pay. What is it, like $20 a month now for no commercials on Netflix?
I was gonna say, I swear they have commercial breaks.
Yeah, they got commercials on Netflix now.
Yeah, they do.
You can pay for a cheaper version to have.
Yeah, you can. Now, will they take advantage of that, or will they be like, you know what, we're actually going to do commercial breaks and do like set things down? Because I mean, unless you're just going to pan out to like sketches every time, just so you can reset the ring back up. Like after every match, there's going to be like a behind the scenes moment with the.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like what they do now, but now they use commercial breaks. So I guess without that, it's just going to be more like freaking like pay-per-views where it's like immediately after a match somebody do something else.
Yeah, see, there's only so many, like, because obviously normally in the middle of pay-per-views there's like maybe a video for the next pay-per-view or a video for WrestleMania that's like 24 months away. But yeah, well,
maybe they'll just start promoting their own stuff. They're going to make their own commercials in Netflix, and they're just going to promote their own WWE materials. That sounds about right.
But then they're going to have to battle with, because if they do actual like adverts promoting other shit, like they're going to have to think, well, the people in the UK aren't going to want to see the same as the people in Mexico. The people in Mexico aren't going to want to see the same as this. So they've got. Yeah, it's a bigger picture, isn't it? I guess so. Yeah, unless they could just say Netflix, you do what you want.
Yeah, they got to figure that out.
So yeah, I guess we'll find that one out.
2025's problem.
True. So you just joined us when you'd had the rules for a gentleman's rule match, which was new in NXT.
Yeah, I was listening to those rules. So what's up with this match? A gentleman's rules match?
It's probably just the match that they will just do once. Yeah. I mean, so basically, what happens is you can't strike an opponent whilst they have all four points of contact on the ground. You can't throw them over the top rope. You have to the count of 3 to break when in the ropes, and there's no fighting on the floor. So, yeah, any of those above rules will result in a disqualification.
Okay, can you punch a guy and that was the while in the corner?
I think so. Again, it would be because normally you have to break that to the count of 5, but you've only got till 3 now. So
yeah.
I think it was a little bit pointless, to be honest.
It seems dumb.
That'll be one of those one-offs that they'll. Yeah,
because
I think
it's
it might
like
be one
you're
of those
taking
ones
away
again.
A couple of exciting parts of it, like the over-the-top rope thing. That means you can't do like very hard whiplashes or Irish whips or anything, because that might send somebody over the top rope. Then you can't fight outside the ring. So once they're outside the ring, you just have to stand them up and put them back in. I imagine they're going to be doing like gentlemen like stances the whole time, like yes, I'll help you out there, buddy. They're going to be making fun of British people, so I'm sure you guys will love that. And it feels like it's going to be dumb.
Yeah, it was, to be honest. It wasn't anything that I'm going to remember.
Oh, it already happened. Okay.
It already happened. It was last week on NXT.
Oh, wow.
Lee says it sounds like a throwback WCW match. Yeah, they would do anything then. So we then had a women's match between Lola Vice and Nikita Lyons, which Nikita won. We then had a men's match, which was Riley Osborne and Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland won. We then had another men's match that was Ashanti Evans versus Brooks Jensen. Brooks Jensen won. And then we had the triple threat for the number one contender for the NXT title, which it looked like Javon Evans was going to win, obviously on the back of losing to Randy Orton the week before. But Ethan Page then comes out of the woodwork and wins, which is a little bit of a shame because I would have liked to see somebody else in that NXT title picture. Because by the sounds of it, I think we're looking at an Ethan Page and a couple of others to debut on the next pay-per-view, which will be I can't forget the name of it now. The one
What
that's
days do their pay-per-views come on? I know they come on weird days.
So I'll come on to that. So Ethan Page won that. Looks like he's going to be going up to the main roster, along with maybe Obafemi if he loses the title at Super Showdown. But we do have this weekend, we have NXT Halloween Havoc, which comes at a good time. There is no other pay-per-views on this weekend apart from TNA Bound to Glory, which is their big one. The Ethan Page and Trick Williams will be a match called Devil's Playground. So we've got a Devil's Playground, a tag team match, table ladders and scares, and then whatever else is spun on the wheel. I love that idea. I think it's great. They should have it on Raw and SmackDown more. Basically, if none of you have seen it, they basically stand in front of a wheel, spin it, and whatever it lands on, it lands on. I was hoping that they would have like one section that said Punjabi prison match because I want them back again.
I've never seen a good one.
Oh well, I think it's a cool stipulation though. I just wonder how much they could actually do now. But I'm sure like a smaller brand said they were doing like a Punjabi prison match, but then I watched it and it was just like a steel cage. So yeah, that's literally it for the whole week. Got a couple of other things to say. NXT have decided that they're going to have a one-off show in the former ECW arena, which is exciting. It will just be cool to see how that looks now, because obviously it might look very different to. Well, I imagine it looks very different.
Wait, is it going to be the one in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it's called the 306 Arena now or something, isn't it?
Oh wow! So Are they going to rename it One Night Stand? That'd be a cool event.
Yeah, it would. It's in November. Is all that we know currently.
I mean, they're giving them all the other WCW pay-per-view names and old WWE pay-per-view names. Might as well show something for ECW.
Yeah, I think the only thing is when you put such a big name on it, and they had both One Night Stands are regarded as two of the best pay-per-views, like they're up there as two of the best pay-per-views ever. I think you put a lot of expectation on it, and with it just being an NXT weekly show, yes, I don't know. It feels like it should be. It should be a bigger occasion, really. Like it should be for a pay-per-view, or it should be for some sort of rather than just a weekly NXT show. Obviously, we'll see what happens there.
It feels like you got to do some type of homage to it.
Yeah, I just think there's a different way to do it, isn't there? That makes it feel more important than just a weekly NXT show.
I mean, you could name it one of the old ECW pay-per-view, or just like show names. Do something that's like that they pay tribute to it. I think that.
Yeah, I hope they do. I hope they do.
At least change the theme of the logo to make it look like some ECW type of thing.
Make it like red and bloodstained or something or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is the only other bit of news really was that Netflix have said that they're going to do like a Drive to Survive sort of type documentary on WWE. That will coincide very well with them coming onto the network, of course.
And what is that?
So like Drive to Survive, it like follows the people that are in the F1 circuit and kind of follows them as people. So like the idea of it, that I think there's one Drive to Survive. I think there's one for golf as well. It kind of just get to know like the personalities behind the people that play these like high sports.
Interesting.
So that'll be interesting, I think. I think a lot of people will be intrigued knowing that WWE just started on. Maybe that'll bring the eyes. That's what they're hoping to bring the eyes into it, is that's what they'll do. Other than that, I don't think there's much else. We still need to sit down and watch the last 3 of the events, and then we can talk about that. There has been over the last week, Piers Morgan did a random interview that was coming out of the blue between Maven, Vince Russo, and someone that used to ring announce for WWE, and they kind of asked all 3 of them what their thoughts on the documentary were. Was it true to life? And I've seen about half of it. My general understanding of, they seem to think it was very much true to life, and kind of all said that they felt they couldn't say no to him, whatever his ask was, because of how big he was. They also spoke about if he didn't speak to them very often, but when he did, Jonathan Coachman as well. Lee's just reminded me of that.
Wait, are you talking about Vince Russo?
Yeah, Vince Russo. So there was these 4 people on a Piers Morgan interview that he did randomly.
Oh
wow. I'll put it in the chat. I'll send you it afterwards because I need to watch the other half of it. But they all kind of said that he didn't speak very often to them. So when they did, they got kind of a little bit, I must have done something right. It was kind of that validation. But yeah, equally, they did all say that they couldn't say no to him, which was quite concerning. And they kind of go in.
One more time.
I got you.
That's all right.
She just wanted to switch places with me. That was all.
And then, that's interesting. If you go and type that into YouTube, that comes straight up. Because Piers Morgan and the channel
of all people in wrestling to interview, he just interviews like Vince Russo. It's so funny. I heard Eric Bischoff recently talk about how he wouldn't work for AEW no matter how much they offered him. Which
really?
I think that just means they did not offer him and he wants a job.
Vince Russo did spend some time talking about the stuff that kind of made his move across to WWE. Said something about he was with his family at Christmas, like enjoying Christmas holidays with them, and Vince kind of rang him up and said, "I need you in now to film this random thing with me." And he said that he kind of knew then that it wasn't the right place for him to be. The fact that he could ring him up at Christmas and just say, "Come in," and he expected me to do it at a drop of a hat. Because I don't think, obviously we've only seen 3 of them, but I don't actually think the documentary is that shocking, only in certain little parts. Other than that, it's just kind of more informative and kind of pod because there's that whole episode, isn't there, about just WCW and stuff. So there was only so far. There was only, I don't know about you. I think there was only one bit that we watched, me, you, and Ryan, and actually went, "Oh my god, did that happen?" So far,
yeah, I think there was only like 2 revelations for me. One I kind of already knew, but then 2, the thing with the referees in the back in the day, I was like, that was pretty shocking. Everything else was like, all right, I feel like I already knew this, or this wasn't like big information.
I don't know about you. I feel that it's probably made to inform people that hadn't seen wrestling in a long time, or that hadn't seen it at all. It was made for those 2 sets of people, I think.
I'll say if you're on YouTube right now watching a wrestling podcast because you love wrestling, you're gonna already know everything about this, like in the documentary for the most part. There might be some like cool, like, oh, nice little one-off facts here or there, but not too much is gonna surprise you, except the fact that Tony Atlas is there for some reason. That's probably the biggest shock, is that he's there.
Yeah, to be honest, that bit. Now I take it back. That bit was pretty shocking when you was
also like, why does he talk so much? Like they gave him so much time, like ability to just say things. I'm just like, stop letting him talk. It feels like the image of him gets worse every time he talks. Like,
I do think they probably spent a lot of time interviewing people that they didn't really need to interview as well. Like for the ones we've watched so far, like the episode with the steroids and stuff, and Hulk Hogan, that made sense because there was a whole storyline around him and going to court and stuff, etc., etc. So that made sense. But then a lot of the times it seems like they haven't. They've wanted to get people, but they haven't agreed to it. So they've just kind of,
It feels like they're just going through like the different eras. What were the complications of those eras? And then like, who were the major players of that era? And let's try to get them in the interview to ask them the questions of like, okay, so in the 80s, Hulk Hogan was popular. Let's get Hulk Hogan and talk about what do you think Vince did to make you popular, or what are the scandals that happened in the 80s that Hulk Hogan was aware of? Let's ask him about them. And then they go on from the 90s, which apparently it's like Hulk Hogan and, Bret Hart were the only people they can get for the early 90s. And then from there, like they went in straight into like the whole DX thing. So, they had to bring Shawn Michaels in for a quick interview. And then, I mean, I think that's all we got to so far, but like, it really felt like, okay, for the WCW part, we're going to talk about all the WCW taking former talents. Vince, why are you so upset about him doing that when you did the thing to people before? And him giving the dumbest excuse on why I've ever heard of why he thinks it was different. And then, everything else was just like, they just really wanted to get the people for the moment, but it didn't feel like they were asking the right questions. I wanted it to be more of an actual documentary. Vince, who are you? What do you do when you're not working? How do you feel about your family outside of work? Like they asked too many in the know question. Like these are all questions you would ask somebody.
Safe questions, it almost felt like they were safe questions.
Exactly, you're asking like Vince McMahon questions. Like I don't need to know. I need to know Vince McMahon the person, not Vince McMahon the character, because these are all questions Vince McMahon the character could answer. I need questions only Vince McMahon the person himself could answer. Like, do you have like? We didn't hear anything about his siblings. They showed like one picture of like multiple siblings. I'm like, I didn't even know he had brothers and sisters. Like, where are they at in this documentary? How come we're not asking Stephanie about what her uncle was like, or like what her aunts were like, or anything like that?
They spent 10 minutes, I think, talking about 10 minutes or less talking about his like upbringing and things like that. But it was very like quickly skipped over.
Yeah, like if he ran away at 16, did he ever like still keep in contact with his family? Like they never asked him that question. Like, all right, you ran away from home at 16 and lived with your dad. Did your other siblings join you, or did you talk to them or communicate with them? Obviously it's like the 50s, so they didn't have cell phones. He would have to like write them or something? Like, did that happen? Like, how did you meet your dad? Like, all these things that you could ask that they never really got into the details of.
Well, apart from the time when they just showed how culturally inappropriate they were at certain times, that was quite hard to watch, actually. Just how they were. I don't know what the right word is. They were putting all of their energy into doing things that they shouldn't do just to keep themselves in the loop of things.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, when you watch it back and we live in the world that we do now, we saw how inappropriate it was. Like at the time, it probably would have just been funny to people, like haha. But now, as you watch back, much like a lot of everything that happened in wrestling then, but this was particularly didn't really sit right because I'm like,
I mean, I think for Vince is like Vince knows the types of prejudices his audiences have, and he will use that as a gimmick character at any chance he can. You know, anytime there's a war going on with a country, okay, let's have somebody pretend to be from that country, and no matter what they say, I know the audience is going to boo them, so they're going to be the heel every time. Perfect. Get some guy who loves America to beat him up. We're going to have a ball here, you know. And then they just do that throughout every decade, no matter what type of tragedy happens there, you know, or what type of events happen. If there's something with Russia, now we got a Russian guy, you know, who everybody hates, and then freaking Sergeant Slaughter has to beat him up.
Didn't they? They got someone on and just completely changed his nationality just to fit the narrative of the story at the time. I can't remember who it was now.
I think it was Muhammad Hassan. It was like an Italian guy, and they just gave him a darker tan, and then they
made him Iranian, didn't they? Or...
Yeah, they made him because it was Middle East, or it was the 2000s, so they made him Iraqi.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Or Afghanistan. I don't even remember. They just made him, and it was the worst part is he wasn't even like a bad guy. Like he came out and just talked about how like people in America treat him bad because of 9/11, and then the audience just would boo him, and they'd be like, "Go back to your country." Like
Italy. When we were sat watching it, it was actually like really nuts to know that that's what they did. Because I guess at the time you were sort of kind of it was a little bit cool, I guess, to watch it, but there was still a subset of people that were kind of your beer drinking, Stone Cold, Steve Austin type fans that did have that sort of edgy humor. So it's just catering to them, I suppose. But
plus, also you got to think about the ignorant people. Like there's people who don't know that this isn't real, and they boo and they hate, and then that actually like penetrates to their actual real lives, and now they have certain sentiments about certain people just because of things like wrestling. And I mean, it doesn't even stop there. There's things like Crime Time that like makes black people look like, you know, thugs or criminals or stuff. Or like, you know, even as much as I love Eddie Guerrero, the whole like lie, cheat, steal, like the whole thing with him and JBL, where JBL's going to the border to literally kick out Mexicans, where I'm sure a lot of people who were adults knew that was fake. But like, I'm sure there was a lot of kids who were like, "Oh, yo, JBL went down. He's kicking out Mexicans. I want to do the same thing," or like whatever. Like they're gonna feel some type of way about it, and it's not a good influence to put into the minds of the youth who are probably going to be watching the show. Even though it's all jokes and games for the adults, because we already know these people are friends afterwards. But, you know, it's just bad ideals to have in people's heads and to capitalize off of, especially when the good guys never even win at all times. Sometimes the bad person or the more prejudiced character actually wins. And that's like crazy how they do that sometimes, you know?
I still feel that was happening even up until that sort of thing was even happening, still up until like ruthless aggression when I was in school and stuff. They would still have that. It was after that, I think, that things started to change a little bit. But even now, they still try and do those things.
I'm gonna say they still kind of do it as much as they can today. Like, as much as they may not be able to get away with it too much on like mid card or like, or like high card shows, but like mid card shows, stuff like that, they might. I mean, there may be a case to say that, like, I don't know, even like Cody's gimmick. As much, I mean, nothing's wrong with Cody's gimmick, but Cody himself, the whole thing is that he's like super ultra pro American, and he looks like a super ultra pro American. I had a friend of mine who's, a more conservative friend of mine tell me he like that Cody looks like the Terminator that Donald Trump would send out to people if he needed people taken care of. And I could not disagree. I was like, Cody's intro outfit does look like the assassin that the freaking American president at the time would send out to your house.
Yeah, I wonder. It would be interesting to see if they like cover anything to do with the election when it gets to that sort of time.
Oh,
like,
I pray not. I hope not. Let's not get, because I already know, it's not even like whose side anybody's on. I really don't care. I just don't need that to get back into wrestling as much as it could be, because you already know, like, Trump is friends. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they actually even mention it, or whether they just, for their own sake, kind of don't mention it.
I would hope they don't mention it, but if they do, they're gonna bring out those like the people, the lookalikes, and they're gonna have the lookalikes have like a gimmick wrestling match. Yeah. I remember they did that with like it was like Obama and Hillary, or like, yeah, I think it was like Obama and Hillary at the time. They like did a fake wrestling match between two people that vaguely looked like them, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. If they're in DC before the second, then they're definitely going to do it, though.
Yeah, I feel that with all their shows, they probably will mention it. I think commentary will maybe slip it or something, or...
I mean, you can't tell people who to vote for, but you can tell people go out and vote. I feel like that's always a good message, no matter who you are. I don't really care who you vote for. Actually, so funny. I actually have my mail-in ballot right here. I haven't filled it out yet. I will, though.
Do you get because obviously when it comes up to like elections in the UK, we kind of get loads of mail and stuff from all the different
it's so
parties. Annoying. Yeah, is it still the same? Like,
yeah, I get a crap ton of mail. I get text messages from people now telling me like, "Did you vote? Did you register?" Like, I already registered. Like, leave me alone. And it's like, oh, this is blah 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 calling from, or email or text messaging you from this person's campaign. Just want to see if we can get your support. Like last month, I had the local police call and ask for fundraising. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we just want to see if you can donate some funds. Minimum $25. What? Like, you just called me. Like, I don't know you. Like, you're just like a police department, and you're just asking for random donations from me.
To be honest, I think you could get a policeman's outfit and just go around and hey, you donate $25 to this campaign. Like, at this point, that's what it sounds
Unfortunately,
like.
That's super illegal, but
yeah, but it sounds like that's what they're doing.
I mean, I didn't know they just called people, but I'm like, oh crap, I guess I'm at that age. Once you hit, once you're like over 30 in an election year, everybody wants some of you. Everybody wants some of your time and everything. Like, bro,
it makes you wonder how all these parties and stuff would cope now had they not got social media and the power to send mail to people. It makes you wonder how they would have coped a long time ago when they didn't have those resources, because that's
you probably just send more mail.
Yeah,
it probably is a lot easier to like get away with stuff back in the day, because I worked at a voting booth before, so I kind of know the process of how it goes. It's even to this day, there's the electronic counts, and then there's a lot of hand counting afterwards. Like, there's so much so many steps to it.
You can that person's just, that single person's just voted 20 times, let's give them another 20.
Yeah, you can probably get away with a lot more of that back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I hope wrestling just does the simple guys go out and vote thing. I really don't want to see them bring out characters to like fake wrestle each other again. I know they got it in them to do it. I just hope they don't. I think it's like cringe.
Yeah, it's not good. I also going a tiny little bit off topic. The NBA have decided that they're going to have 2 games in Paris, so
Oh wow.
to suit that. So it's going to be 2 regular season games as well. It's going to be the 2 same teams. It's going to be my team against the other guy is whoever Tyrese Halliburton plays for.
Oh, the Pacers. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Spurs versus the Pacers.
And
be
it's going to be 23rd and the 25th of January. You can either put yourself into a ballot that if you're in, like, if you win that, you get a chance to tickets, or you can buy the packages. The packages are if you want to sit right in the top of the stadium, you can pay £536 for both games, right at the top where the basketball players will look like a dot. But then if you want to go further down, I think the court size were too much to even mention. I think
now that doesn't include the price of a trip to Paris, though, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That just literally will be your tickets and maybe some fancy.
Okay. Now so you hear that, audience? You still have to travel to Paris and do all that stuff too.
Yeah, so like I think it was like $3 or $4 grand to see both games if you wanted to be back like in the area behind courtside and stuff. So it's not cheap.
No, plus you got to think about food. I'm sure French food is expensive. If it sounds expensive.
I don't think it'll be much different. I think it'll probably be either the same or a little bit cheaper than some food in the UK and stuff. It's just, like I say, getting over there and paying for everything else, which is a shame, because I think the whole idea to have the NBA closer to all the fans around the world is a great idea. But if you're going to make it affordable for the average person, then yeah, it's pointless.
Is it expensive for you to get to Paris?
No, not necessarily, because we can you can either fly for relatively cheap or you can use Eurostar to get there. So that's not the expensive part. It's the staying, because obviously during that period, if something's on, hotel prices will go up and stuff, and it's more the paying for the basketball tickets and then staying that's the issue.
Gotcha.
It's almost like you're going to be the price of a holiday just for 2 games, basically, or if not more. It's disappointing, but it is what it is.
All these get to watch. Hey, go to a local bar and watch it.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if, because it's in Paris, it's the same. So I wonder if it will be to suit the people that are in Paris and the surrounding countries, or whether it's to suit their main demographic of American basketball fans.
I wonder if they got like a Spurs only related bar in your area. I've seen some online. I've seen random. They have like Cleveland Browns, like I guess like bar things out there.
Oh, really? In Paris, in Barcelona, when I went, they had an NBA cafe there, which was really cool. It had all like the tallest players of all time and stuff like that, and you could see how tall you were. And then it had like 6 million screens everywhere and loads of like merch and trophies and stuff. So that was cool. But no, I don't think there is anywhere. We've obviously got an NBA store in London. I think that's about it. I don't think there is actually that much. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I think that's, like I say, January next year.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see if it's on our time, or it should be. If it's like, although saying that, the UFC had a a pay-per-view over here, didn't they? And
did they? I never catch UFC events. It's so hard to remember what time they come on.
I think it's because it's every week now. It's getting a little bit silly. But they had this. So they had the show in Manchester, and it started at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I think in our time.
Ooh.
So by the main event, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, our time, and people were literally falling asleep. There were so many people that had fell asleep at the seats because it was like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Jeez, what were they thinking?
Yeah, it's bad. I have heard that the WWE have asked to use the Sphere, is it, in that they had the fancy arena that they had for one of the pay-per-views. I'm trying to think what it is. UFC, is it called Sphere?
Wait, are they gonna do that Sphere in Vegas?
Yeah, so the one that they did for the pay-per-view, the NFC, what am I about? I'm making stuff up. UFC, WWE have asked if they can use it. So that's definitely going to be in a future plan of WWE. That'll be quite impressive because although the actual card was terrible, the graphics that they're able to do were absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's it really. Like I say, it's been a bit of a naff week, but Sunday we should have lots to talk about because Sunday we should have lots to talk about because we'll have the TNA pay-per-view, which is like their WrestleMania this weekend.
Are you going to be trying to watch it? Trying to watch it together?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because so the TNA pay-per-view will be on really late at night, but I don't actually know the NXT one. The NXT one might be on sometimes. They're really nice to us, and they have them on at good times.
Yeah, I always forget you're always like asleep by that because it's always so late for you guys.
Halloween Havoc 24 start time UK. Yeah. Pre-show. Oh no, that's progress. Oh, progress. Okay. So pre-show is at midnight, main card at 1 a.m. Wonderful. And then the TNA.
It's a little late.
Yeah, a little bit. TNA Bound for Glory 2024.
Or AEW.
Because the TNA have done a month's worth of free to their subscription service so that people can watch Bound to Glory for free, which is really cool.
Wait, what service is free?
So their subscription service, which is called TNA streaming service. It's called TNA Plus, and for this month, it's free, and it's got the back catalog from TNA and stuff as well, which I'm going to take use of, I think, for this month because obviously they've had some really good pay-per-views and stuff in the past. So yeah, I'm going to take use of that. But that time is on again, 1 a.m. on Saturday. So I'll have some stuff to watch on Sunday, which is good. Obviously, the main event of that one is Nick Noah from Joe Hendry. And there's a couple of other cool matches on there. There's a Monsters Ball match for the TNA Digital Media Championship. There is a three-way Full Metal Mayhem match for the tag team titles as well.
I love it.
And then there's two other matches, Mike Santana and Moose, and then Jordana Grace and Masha Slamovich. So there's 5 matches so far. They've obviously got another, I think their weekly show's on a Thursday. So they've got one more to kind of announce some more stuff. So yeah, that's like their WrestleMania. So that should be good. Other than that, I think that's my limit, to be honest. I shall put up the banner of it's your time
my
to shine.
camera cut out. Hey, so guys, I want you to go subscribe to the channel. There we go. Go subscribe to the channel. You know, just put out a couple of different videos this week, actually. So this week, you guys get to understand why you wouldn't survive in feudal Japan, but I will actually explain why I would survive. So that's a pretty good video there. It's actually from Chat History, and Chat History does enjoy the videos themselves, guys. He comments on all the videos. He loves them.
Nice.
Also, the Goofy movie reaction is still out, guys. Go watch that. I did that with a couple of buddies of mine, AIP. You know, there's another YouTube channel there. They have really great content individually, and then we come together sometimes as a group, and that's how we did a movie reaction to Goofy movie. So enjoy that. You have options. There's tons of things out there. Put out videos all the time.
And you've got your merch.
I do. I have my merch. I don't have anything with me right now. Oh, I got this sticker right here, guys. You can use it to stick on stuff, you know, on specific surfaces that are able to be stuck upon, if you will. So get to sticking with the stickies. There is a back you have to peel off, but after that, there's an adhesive on there, guys. If you know what that is, it helps things stick together. That's what adhesives are. Yeah, if you've never worked with them before, you know, wear gloves. You know, they're sticky.
So you saw in the chat as well. Always give a shout out to Gooner Gathering as well.
Yes,
I'm on there
Gathering.
sometimes. We're still to get you on for a game. We're going to get you on for a game.
I know. I gotta get on for a game. I got you guys on for like a basketball game before. Got to get me on for one of these football games, as you call them, so I can check one. I've actually watched like a part of a game before, but never like a full match.
It's best we not mention your type of football.
Honestly, at this point, I don't even want to talk about it because my team is ass. So I don't even want to bring.
I do keep checking every Sunday to just see what's happened, but
they are not getting better.
I kind of know what's happened while it's loading up.
This has been one of the most disappointing seasons in my fandom as a Browns fan. Coming off a playoff season to be this bad is actually criminally insane. I feel like the owner of our team actually needs to have like arrestable charges put upon him.
I do think it's technically my fault because this was the year that you said, right, you should start watching it.
But no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I told you that.
So technically, I think it's my fault. We'll say that.
I'm sorry I told you that. I lied to you. It is the worst time to ever try to watch this team ever.
The thing is, if I was bothered about my team being rubbish, I would have stopped supporting Spurs years ago. The basketball. So I'm quite strong-willed in that sense. So yeah, that's it really. Obviously, you will find us on Instagram there. You'll find us on Patreon there. You'll find our merch where you find our merch.
The merch shop
on lots of my social medias, and that's pretty much it. Until next time.
Peace.